Hi there. My name is Kelly and I happen to be the mother of a trans daughter. And with all the things that have been going on in the news lately, with people speculating about trans people in bathrooms and gender identity, it's become abundantly apparent to me that the governors in states like North Carolina, my home state of Georgia, South Dakota, Arizona, all these other different, Mississippi, for instance, don't really understand how women's rooms work. So I'd like to give a little bit of a tutorial on that and some other background information so that we're all on the same page. First of all, as you might know, women, we like to travel in packs, particularly when it comes going to the bathroom, which is why you always see lines of women outside of public bathrooms. Okay? Now, if a man who is dressed as a woman with a skirt over his Johnson were to come into the bathroom and try to accost a little girl or a woman, I guarantee can free you that for something like that to happen on turf, it would be bad. It would be so super bad. Have you ever seen two women in a cat fight? Well, imagine 3, 4, 5 of those women on top of one guy. Yeah, he's not getting out unscathed. And I'll let you in on another little secret. Those tampon dispensers and napkin dispensers that we happen to have in the bathrooms? Those aren't filled with those supplies anymore. We keep those in our purses. They're actually filled with switchblades and other weapons. So in the event that a man dressed as a woman with a skirt over his Johnson comes into the bathroom and tries to accost us or our daughters or anybody else who happens to be in there, we know that besides planning world domination, how to slice his penis off and instantly castrate him. Like that. Now, a lot of you legislators might be going, well, dang, how is that happening and I didn't even know that? The reason is because we've never had to do it. Because it's never happened. Because you're trying to legislate against something that's 100% myth. But let me give you the 411 on isn't a myth. And who's really at risk in these bathroom situations? It's trans people. In a recent Washington, D.C. survey of 93 trans people, 68% were verbally accosted, 9% were physically accosted. There are trans people that develop urinary tract infections because they won't go into bathrooms because they're afraid of being harassed. And what your legislation is going to do are going to put trans men in women's bathrooms and trans women into men's bathrooms when they've been going there all along and you would absolutely positively never ever know it. It's a non-issue. Now my daughter is one of the sweetest, kindest people you could ever ask for. And if anybody came into the bathroom and tried to hurt somebody, I guarantee you she would be one of the first people to take them down. Okay? Now, I know there's a lot of educators out there that are saying that they want to restrict trans people's students' access to bathrooms. Well, the reality is that the federal government can restrict your funding if you're going to do that because you're violating Title IX as well as the Equal Access Law. You can't do that. Okay? Just like you couldn't back in 1964 tell people which bathrooms to use as part of the Civil Rights Act. All right? And now I hear so many of these states that are a little freaked out by all this, sitting there going, well, it's a states' rights issue. I've even heard Donald Trump say that on Jimmy Kimmel. But let me explain something to you. Let's back up 100 years from the Civil Rights Act back to the Civil War, where states' rights was considered a reason why it was cool to enslave another race of people. And then Abraham Lincoln, himself a Republican, had to go in and stop it. And in the meantime, 620,000 people died in that conflict. Okay? So now you got the crazy lady with 12 kids in the Bible walking through Target saying that, it's all a sin and everything and trying to legislate with the Bible. Well, let me back you up to 1776 where we got in a war with England because we wanted the separation of church and state. Okay? And when you get right down to it, our founding fathers wore wigs and hose and ruffles, so maybe being trans is actually guaranteed by the Constitution. And if you want to put your outrage someplace where it absolutely should be, you should be pissed at the fact that 1 in 5 children in this country go to bed hungry. Governor of Mississippi, did you know that 29% of the kids in your state don't have enough food to eat? That's almost 1 in 3. 15.3 million kids in the greatest country in the United States don't have enough food. So Target lady with the 12 kids in the Bible, if you want to take this on as your fight, I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you, and I will put out food bins and ask people that are shopping at Target to put food in there so that we can take it to the local food banks so that families with food scarcity, especially now in the summer, because those kids don't have lunch and subsidized breakfasts, we could really do some good here. So let me recap. 1, 1964, Civil Rights Act, you can't tell people where to go to the bathroom. 2, separation of church and state as per our Constitution. 3, Title IX, students have to have equal access to everything, whether they're trans. They are protected by that, just like your daughters should have equal opportunity to be on a soccer team. Okay? And 4, if a man was to come into a bathroom and have a dress over his Johnson with the idea that he would attack one of us, we would slice his Johnson in half. We've got this. Really.